simple interest and compound interest. We will start by reviewing first just the simple interest. For this topic, you will need a calculator and a very good and positive attitude to learn how to make calculations with the simple interest. Hmm? Now, for the first topic, we're going to see some basics, okay? We are going to make a basic algebra review where we are going to practice what are the multiplications, the addings, the divisions, and the subtractings that sometimes we make just like a normal transaction. However, we always need to memorize those and make a small review on how to solve equations. I am looking for a number that added by 5 will give me a result of 15. Perhaps you're thinking this is quite simple and you're just looking for a number that added with 5, it'll give you a result of 15. Now, this is the order in which all mathematical operations should be calculated. First, you make the multiplications, then you make the divisions, then the addings, and last, the subtractions. Now, when you're looking for the number that once added to 5 gives you a result of 15, you have to take the digit that you just possess, okay? And you have to switch it to the right, and if it was positive here, then you're going to use it negative on the other side, and therefore the result will be 10. X equals 10. This is a very simple algebra review. However, you do need to remember this type of calculations because we are going to start using mathematical formulas to learn how to calculate the simple interest formula. All right? I am looking for the number that once multiplied times 10 will give me a result of 30. All right? Quite simple. You're looking for a number here that once multiplied times 10, it'll give you 30, right? So you are going to, if the number is making a multiplication here, on the other side of the equal, you have to make a division. Therefore, you are looking for x equals 3. Again, this is the order of the mathematical equations. That's the regular order. And now let's go and talk about the investments. What is an investment? It's when you have original money, but you want to make it grow. Usually, you take it to a bank. Usually, not always, you take it to a bank and make it grow. That is the idea, to make it grow. All right? Investments require formulas in order to make your numbers grow. Investments require simple interest formulas, compound interest formulas to make money grow from one to the other. This is the original, the seed capital you invested, and you're looking to make it grow. A financial investment is putting money away for a period of time to get future revenue. Now, let's understand this. When referring to the word rate, okay, this is the first word you have to learn. This is the first word you have to memorize in order to understand the formulas that are coming. And it says, when referring to the word rate, we are talking about the interest to be received for the money invested, and it is identified with the letter R. I repeat, when I am talking about rate, I am talking about the interest to be received for the money invested. Okay? So when we are talking in the formula about the rate of the investment, think of the interests. All right? Good. The letter to identify the rate is the R, whether capital letter or lowercase letter. Now, this is an old currency bill that I put in the presentation, but you do understand my purpose. When referring to the principal amount to be either invested or borrowed, we use the letter P. Okay? principal is the amount of money to be either invested or borrowed, and it will be characterized into the formula with the letter P. Okay, good. Now, in this part, I want to show you that the entire amount can be split into several portions, all right? It can be split into several portions. Why am I doing this? Because you're going to start making calculations with the time, okay? When we are referring to the time, we express it with a letter T, either capital letter or lowercase letter. And this is important because these three red letters are going to be part of the following formula that you're going to learn. And I need you to understand what I mean when I say a rate, when I say principal, and when I say time. So when I say rate, I'm talking about interests. When I say principal, I am talking about either the money I am going to invest or the money I am going to borrow. And when I refer to time, I am thinking of the time I am going to put that money away. Right? Remember R, P, and T. Good. Now let's take a look into the following example. If I invest 10,000 colones, remember that is my principal, at a rate of 25% annual, that is my rate, for an entire year, that is my time, calculate the interest amount based on this formula. Are you ready to copy it in your notes? Because this is the first formula you're going to learn regarding the interest formulas, and it goes as this. Interests equals principal times rate times time. Why am I saying interest here and then rate in here? Because when I say rate, I am looking about a 25%, 13%. I am looking for a percentage number or the absolute number here. But when I say interest, I am talking about money, how much money I am getting after the end of the period. You need to recognize the difference between these two because it is very important for the calculations. Then again, interest, I am talking about the amount of money I am going to get after the period of time, whereas rate is the percentage in which I am going to get the investing into the period of time that I am going to get back. For example, let's substitute the main formula with the information from the example. Interest is the amount of money I will get at the end of the year. So I don't know that yet. I am told I invest 10,000 colones P, so I know principal is 10 at a rate of 25% annual. That's very important. The word that goes after the percentage kids, it's very important. Remember this. For the beginning of the exercises, we will only talk about 25% annual, 10% annual, but later on into the topics, we will start talking about different periods of time. Right now, it's just by a year, but later on, you'll start seeing more complicated calculations. So far, 25% annual, so we know that's your rate, 25% for an entire year. Okay, so time, you already know it's 1 year. All right, this is the formula you have to write down into your notes. You need to have it handy in a sheet of paper, in las fichas. You need to have it somewhere because this is something you will learn now and you will use it all the way till the final test in 3 years. Okay, let's identify each section. P, my principal, is 10,000. R, my rate, is 25% annual. And the reason why I am writing this down is so that you remember that later on you will see exercises that are different from a year in here. And my T is 1 year. What is the amount due in 1 year? Okay. What is the amount due in 1 year? So I want to know at the end, I gave you 10,000. You promised to pay me 25% back after a year. So I am looking on what is the number that you're supposed to give me back. Mhm. After 1 year has passed. All right, that is very important. Not only you have to give me the principal back, but you also have to give me some interest. So the formula goes as this: interest equals 10,000, which is principal, times 0.25, which is the rate, and this is my very own personal recommendation, kids. Always switch the percentage into the absolute number. This is my very strong recommendation, because if you're going to start using percentages and you start having very large formulas, that is going to be messy. So always switch the percentage into the absolute number. How do you do that? How do you calculate that? It's very simple, and allow me to show you. It is a 25%. And so how do I make this 25% a absolute number? You divide it by 100, because we are talking about percentages. Percentages have a base of 100. I repeat, you take 25 and you divide it by 100, and that will give you 0.25. That's the number you're going to use here. Had I told you that I required an 18.5%, you divided by 100, the same thing, and it would have given you 0.185. That would be the number you use here. Every number I give you on a percentage, you divide it by 100. What if I tell you it'll be a 9% divided by 100, it'll be 0.09 as an absolute number. Okay, so that would be the number you use here. Strong recommendation, always use the absolute number. Okay, multiply times the time I gave you, and it's just 1 year. So you're going to multiply that times a year, which is just 1. You make your numbers. 10,000 times 0.25 times 1 equals 2,500. Okay, so now you know that after 1 year, if you give me 10,000 and I promise a 25%, after 1 year, you will have earned 2,500. Okay, now that's not the entire question. That's the very first part of the question, because I am saying calculate the interest amount. All right, you're telling me it is 2,500. But now what is my follow-up question? What is the amount due in a year? So I'm asking not only for the interest, I'm also asking now at the principal. You gave me 10, I give you 2,500. What is the entire amount you're going to withdraw after a year? So you take your 10,000 plus the 2,500 I give you, and it'll give you a total of 12,500. You have to be very careful with these numbers. What is the question? Interest. All right, 2,500. What is the question? The entire amount due. So I'm asking for the full number. Why am I telling you to be extra careful in this? Because sometimes you make the mistake of just calculating one thing and you think you are done. However, you haven't entirely finished and you still have to add all the number. Okay? The formula, the original formula, interest equals principal times rate times time, will only give you the interest. It will not give you the entire amount due. So you have to be extra careful when calculating those numbers and paying close attention on what I am asking from you. All right? Now, let's go into the definition of what simple interest is. A quick method of calculating the interest charge on a loan is by calculating with its formula. Simple interest is determined by multiplying the interest rate by the principal and by the number of periods. Now, simple interest is called simple because it ignores the effects of compounding. The interest charge is always based on the original principal. Therefore, interest on interest is not included. This method may be used to find the interest charge for short-term loans where ignoring compounding is less of an issue. Maybe you will understand this paragraph on the following video when we see the compound interest, but so far all you have to understand is that there are two types of interest we can calculate. The first one is the simple, which we just learned in here, and the other one is the compound, okay? Compound will be clearer in the following video. Now, the amount, simple interest is money you can earn by initially investing some money, the principal, a percentage, the interest, of the principal is added to the principal, making your initial investment grow. When money is borrowed, interest is charged for the use of that money for a certain period of time. When the money is paid back, the principal amount of money that was initially borrowed and the interest are both paid back. The amount of interest depends on the interest rate, the amount of money borrowed, and the length of time that money is borrowed for. Let's see another example. All right. Number one, if $100 were borrowed for 2 years at a 10% annual interest rate, the interest would be, okay, so let's extract the relevant information. $100 is the first information you have, and this is your principal. It was borrowed for 2 years. This is your time. At a 10% annual interest rate, this is your simple rate. Okay, so now you have the three information, and the formula says that the amount of money you're going to get as an interest is principal times rate times time. So let's change and substitute all the digits. Principal is 100, rate is not 10%, it is 0.10 times time, which is 2 years, so times 2. Okay, now think of this. What are they asking from me? They are saying the interest would be, okay, so I am looking first at just this, the interest. So you make your numbers and your math, and it says 100 times 0.10 times 2 equals 20. That is your interest. All right. So far you have been able to answer the question. If you went ahead and asked for $100 from someone or from a bank under these conditions, 10% annual and 2 years, you will have to pay back $20 plus the 100 that you borrowed. Okay. Now the second question says, what would be the total amount due to receive at the end of the 2 years? So now I'm asking the combination of the principal plus the interest. So the total amount due after 2 years is 100 plus 20 equals 120. All right. This example is identical to the previous one, but I just changed the numbers a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to do a small practice. And by small, I mean very easy and simple practice, okay? Let's understand it all before we move on. And it says, find the interest, listen to the question, find the interest earned on the following investment amounts. $6,000 at 5% annual for 7 years. $7,500 at 8% annual for 10 years. $10,500 at 8% annual for 5 years. $25,000, I'm missing the dollar sign, at 7% annual for 12 months. Number 2, Josue has $5,000 to invest. The bank will pay Josue 6% annually on his money. How much interest has Josue earned after 5 years of investment? And now, how much money will he get back after those 5 years? Now I'm asking for the due amount, okay? I'm asking for both things. I'm asking for the interest and the entire amount of money he will get back after the 5 years. So you have to add up the 5,000 plus whatever interest you calculated on the first part. This one says Jennifer invests $80,000 in a simple interest account, which pays 8% annually for 3 years. What is her total investment return at the end of those 3 years? Look at the question. What is her total investment return? I'm asking for the amount due, not just the interest. So that's why you have to pay close attention to what I'm asking from you from the exercise. Okay. Number 4, Paula's account pays her 5% annual interest if she invests $8,250. How much interest is she paid after 2 years? And what is the total amount due at the end of those 2 years, right? So you make those exercises, and that will conclude the first video, which is the simple interest formula. There will be a follow-up video for the continuation with the compound interest formula, which is more elaborated, all right? Thank you very much.